I was on a meeting the other day. It was on Zoom, and as we were meeting, the question that the person who was running the meeting asked was, when are the places that you feel most connected with God? Is there a place, is there a particular situation when you have just felt really in connection with who God is and what God is doing in your life and in your world? And almost everyone said the places that they feel most connected are when they're outside in nature. You know, this past year has been kind of an odd time for us. We've had snowstorms late in the year, and we had beautiful sunshine and warm weather earlier in the year, and it was just kind of a crazy time. And yet, nature, being outside in God's creation, is the place that most of us feel a connection with the Creator more than ever. You know, April 22nd is known as Earth Day. And it's a day when those folks who are concerned about the environment or interested in what we are doing with the environment have really named that time as a time where we would focus on what's going on with our world. And, you know, as I was thinking about it, I thought, you know, right at the very beginning of Scripture, right from the very beginning of Scripture, the very first thing we hear about is how God created the world that we're in. The other thing I thought about is the fact that, unfortunately, for some reason, we have taken things like earth care and we have politicized it in such a way that all of a sudden folks are taking sides. When in reality, when it comes to earth care, it's one of the very first things God tells us to do. We are supposed to nurture and take care of this creation that God has given us. And rightfully so, because it is the very workmanship of God. It's what God did first, creating light and the skies and the waters and everything that creeps on the land and all the foliage and everything. You know, it won't be long until these trees have started to bloom. In fact, I'll give you a little bit of a hint. I'm filming this earlier than when we're showing it, so these trees may already be in bloom for as much as I know. But the creation that God has given us was placed in our hands to be cared for. I was thinking about this particular devotional, and even though the Psalms are like filled with allusions of creation, the one that for whatever reason I was drawn to was Psalm 100. Psalm 100 is a psalm of worship, and it says this. It says, "Make a joyful noise to the Lord, all the earth. Worship the Lord with gladness. Come into His presence with singing. Know that the Lord is God. It is He who made us. We are His. We are His people, the sheep of His pasture. Enter His gates with thanksgiving and His courts with praise. Give thanks to Him. Bless His name. For the Lord is good. His steadfast love endures forever, and His faithfulness to all generations." You know, I hear that, and I hear that line, worship the Lord with gladness. And sometimes we think of worshiping the Lord with gladness in our sanctuary. And yes, there are times when we feel closest to God in our sanctuary, but sometimes we feel closest to God in God's sanctuary, in what God had made with no roof, only sky. And in that moment, we are able to get a glimpse of the one who made us and is glad He made us. So perhaps on Saturday, the 22nd of April, we can find a time to be out in God's creation and to give thanks for what God has created for us and has given to us to place in our care. And perhaps on that day too, we can think about a way in which perhaps maybe we can take good care of what God has given us, both ourselves and this world that He has given us to live in. So, make a joyful noise to the Lord, all the earth. On that Saturday, let us listen to the earth and the joyful noise that God has made through this creation for us. Thanks be to God.